A sad morning for students and faculty at one local school. Good evening. This is CTV News. I'm Patricia Vallone. Thank you for joining us. A substitute teacher at Largo High School dies after a medical emergency. A school spokesman says the incident happened before classes started this morning. Students were held inside of their first period classrooms while paramedics tended to the teacher.
He was in a stairway in the building. An administrator was with him, escorting him to his first class of the day. But no student was around the teacher at the time of the incident. Paramedics were called and they were unable to revive the substitute teacher.
Classes resumed about 11 a.m. The cause of the death is unknown at this time. School officials have not released the name of the male substitute teacher. We are told today was his first day at Largo High School, but he had been working in the Prince George's school system for 10 years. Administrators plan to send a letter home with students today. Meantime, police need your help tonight after a fatal hit-and-run incident in Landover. CTV's Sonia Srivastava is at the scene with details.
Well, the incident happened last night around 9:30 here on Landover Road by Route 50 West, and police tell us that when they got here, they found a woman. She was alive at the time who was suffering from life-threatening injuries, and she passed a short time later. And looking at her injuries, they say that she was hit by a vehicle. Now, I want to show you something here. You can still see some of the markings that police made last night as this woman was trying to cross. Now, we're told that she was not in a crosswalk, and the fact is that if you look around, there is a crosswalk not too far from where she was hit.
There was debris on the roadway that gave indication that a vehicle struck the victim. From what we were able to ascertain, it is believed that she was struck by a vehicle, possibly a Ford product, an SUV, and gold in color.
And like Corporal McKinney said, you know, they're looking for a gold SUV type vehicle, and I'm told that there could be some front end damage to that vehicle. So again, they are looking for that car. Anyone out there with information is asked to call police. In Chevrolet, I'm Sonia Srivastava for CTV News.
And anyone with information is asked to call 1-866-411-TIPS. Well, sheriff deputies jumped into action yesterday when a gun was found in a man's bag at the courthouse in Upper Marlboro. They tell us that Troy Jonathan Kent went to the courthouse for a scheduled appointment with his probation officer. When his tote bag went through the x-ray machine, a deputy spotted a gun. Kent was arrested on the scene. He's being held on $100,000 bond at the Prince George's County Jail. Come tomorrow, thousands will gather on the National Mall to commemorate the 50th anniversary of the March on Washington in 1963. That was also the time when Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. delivered his famous I Have a Dream speech. CTV's Makia Turner is standing by at the National Mall, where organizers have preparations underway.
Well, that's right. Come tomorrow, this place will be jam-packed with thousands of people who've come to retrace the footsteps of those participants in the March on Washington of 1963. If you take a look behind me, you'll see that organizers already have preparations underway. You'll see visitors taking in some of the last-minute sites before things get kind of hectic here tomorrow. Now, we spoke to a few of these visitors, some from countries as far as Bolivia, who tell us what tomorrow means to them.
My family and I had to come here to Washington to celebrate with the American people this important anniversary. I think that what happened 50 years ago was important not only for the American people, but for the entire world.
I missed the last one 50 years ago, and I vowed that I would not miss this one.
In your eyes, have we fulfilled the dream? And if not, how far have we come in 50 years?
We have made some small steps. We call them baby steps. But then, since the election of Barack Obama, it seemed like we have come to a standstill, and in some cases, taken a step back.
We have to do better when it comes to racial relationships, racial issues, social issues. The poor, those that do not have, we have to address the needs where we can, together in harmony, achieve the American dream that the Reverend Dr. Martin King talked about 50 years ago.
We need more change here for everybody, not just for black, but for everybody. We need for every human being of God's children.
Now, tomorrow's march won't be the last event for those to commemorate the 50th anniversary of the original March on Washington, as several events are scheduled to last through next week. From the district, I'm Makia Turner, CTV News.
And local leaders are asking residents to meet at the Washington Monument at 7 a.m. tomorrow. From there, everyone will walk to the Lincoln Memorial for an 8 a.m. prayer service. At 9:30, speeches begin, and at noon, participants will march to the MLK Memorial. Well, 2 years ago today, an earthquake centered in Mineral, Virginia, rocked the East Coast. It was just before 2 p.m. on August 23, 2011, that the ground started to shake, sending thousands onto the street. This video taken that day shows folks evacuating from office buildings right here in Largo, including CTV staff members. The 5.8 magnitude quake caused structural damage to historic landmarks, including the Washington Monument and the National Cathedral, which still need millions of dollars to complete repairs. Several schools and apartment buildings in Prince George's County also saw minor damage. Well, Maryland Republicans gear up for next year's governor's race. Prince George's Republican Central Committee Chairman Phil Parenti knows the race to succeed Democratic Governor Martin O'Malley will be an uphill battle. The names of half a dozen state GOP members are being floated around, and Parenti says all would be viable contenders.
We have David Craig, who is the current Hartford County executive, and he's got decades of experience. We also have Ron George. Ron George, he's a businessman. He's a delegate from Anne Arundel County. We also have Charles Lawler. Charles Lawler has announced that he's going to announce. And Charles Lawler, I've known him for several years. He's a good man. Some of the others that are the names that are floating around, like Blaine Young. Blaine Young is he's a commissioner from Frederick County. And then Michael Steele, of course, Prince George's County's own. And then there was Larry Hogan.
And the GOP has had a tough recent history in both primary and general elections in the predominantly blue state. That's why Parenti says the party is making some strategy changes.
It's a lot of work, a lot of time, a lot of money. And generally speaking, we have had people that have joined the race, but they've done it the last minute. We're now talking with folks more than a year out, so that they can launch a good campaign and educate their constituents, or who would be their constituents.
And Parenti says he thinks the political climate is ripe for Republicans to make some headway in the next election. He says the focus of the state GOP will be public outreach and getting candidates' faces out there so voters know they have options.